What is up, and welcome back to another episode of Blood and Beer, the show where we talk blood sport and we drink beer. I'm your host, Matt. As always, we've got some MMA to talk and some beer to drink. Today we've got UFC Vegas 109. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez is taking on Roman Dolidze in a top 10 battle between middleweights. And then in the co-main event, we have former title challenger Steve Erceg. He's taking on Ode Osbourne, a short notice replacement after his previous opponent, Hyung-Sung Park, pulled out to take on Tatsuro Taira last weekend, and Tatsuro Taira goes out there, gets the finish in the second round over Erceg's opponent. So we're going to be breaking down the entire main card. It's an Apex card, but when you look at it and grade it on the Apex scale, on the scale of Apex cards, it's not so bad, really. You know, it's got a good mix of veterans, well-known mid-carders, and prospects that have a chance of going somewhere from where they're at currently. And if you're just joining us, make sure you're dropping questions in the chat. We'll get to you as we go along. Today, we're back to sipping on a beer because it's a live show and it's Wednesday. We've got a Montucky cold snack. It's from Montana, the unofficial beer of Montana. So we're going to try it out, see how it is, see if it's any good. And if it is, God bless, we might just move to Montana. God damn, that's really good. Shouldn't have sworn there. Goodness gracious, but this is getting an endorsement from the Blood and Beer. Goodness. Anyways, we'll go ahead and kick things off with the main event. Goodness. As Anthony Fluffy Hernandez is taking on Roman Dolidze. And these are two guys that are kind of on the outside looking in at middleweight when we see all this movement and all this action where the guys at the top are starting to fall down the rankings and we're seeing other guys slide themselves in. Anthony Hernandez and Roman Dolidze, while they're winning their fights, they're just not getting the recognition and not getting these big names that other guys are getting. They're not getting a former champion or a Jared Cannonier. So Anthony Hernandez has been taking on contender after contender, guys they want to push, and he's just not getting through. Roman Dolidze, he's taken out, he's on a 3-fight win streak, a little bit of a weird 3-fight win streak with a somewhat washed or ring rust Marvin Vettori, and then he had a win over Anthony Smith, who was going through some shit and just not looking good. He was stepping in short notice. He didn't look good at the end of his career, to say the least. And then he also beat Kevin Holland by injury, and Kevin Holland just shouldn't be fighting at middleweight. So I don't know where Roman Dolidze's at, but I'm thinking that Anthony Hernandez has got this in the bag. The odds makers tend to agree as Hernandez is hovering around minus 340, minus 350 as a favorite. Dolidze comes back plus 260, plus 270, depends on where you're getting your odds from. But Hernandez is a monster. The guy pushes a crazy pace, 4.5 significant strikes per minute, and he gets 6.5 takedowns every 15 minutes. So this guy is nonstop working. He gives you no chance to rest, and he never gets tired. He's always pushing the pace, always in your face. He's known as the 185 Marab because this guy just does not stop going. And while Dolidze's good, Dolidze has some crack on his shots. I don't see a world where he's able to keep up with Hernandez's pace. Yes, Dolidze's a black belt, but in jiu-jitsu, but I don't see him getting Hernandez down. Hernandez is a much better wrestler. And to top it all off, it's not to top it all off, I can't keep saying it enough. Hernandez is just gonna he's gonna weaponize the cardio in this one and get the job done. So at minus 350, good parlay piece, but I wouldn't put a straight bet on him. I think he's just gonna outwork Dolidze. He might not get the finish, but he's gonna tire this guy out. Now, caveat to all this, if Dolidze can land a killer body shot, either a hook on the inside or a kick from the outside to Hernandez's body, Hernandez has been susceptible to body kicks before. They've hurt him in the past, so that could get him. But other than that, I just don't see a huge route for Dolidze to get a victory here. I don't see too many places where he holds the advantage. And that brings us to our co-main event, Steve Erceg. He's on a 3-fight losing streak right now. He came into the UFC red hot, gets a title shot against Pantoja off of a knockout over Matt Schnell, and then has a great fight with Alexandre Pantoja, goes to decision, loses the fight in the 5th round really is when he lost it. It was anybody's fight up until that point. But then after that fight, he goes out there, gets absolutely nuked by Kai Kara France, and then kind of gets schooled on by Brandon Moreno. So this is a huge step back he's taking here in Ode Osbourne, who's coming off a knockout win in his own right. But prior to that, he was on a 3-fight losing streak, and Ode Osbourne's tough. He's got knockout power. He's just a real grindy vet, and I think Steve Erceg should have what it takes to get the job done in this one. I think Steve Erceg is going to be better at range. He's definitely a better ground fighter. Ode might have an advantage in the wrestling, but Steve Erceg is a much more technical grappler. He's going to have a submission advantage. He's going to have the advantage in the striking where he's much more technical there as well, much more fundamentally sound. And Ode Osbourne has a 5-inch reach advantage in this, I believe it is, 4 or 5-inch reach. But Steve Erceg fights really tall. He fights behind his jab. He blades up. I don't see that reach advantage being a huge factor for Ode Osbourne, especially with the way Ode fights, where he'll start off throwing straight strikes, but as the fight goes on, his strikes tend to get looping, and that reach advantage kind of goes away because he's looping his strikes so much, and it results in, you're looping, you got shorter arms when you do it that way, and it takes longer for your target, or for the missile to reach its destination, to reach its target. So I like Steve Erceg here, minus 600. Stay the hell away from it because he is on a 3-fight losing streak. And this, while it's not a loser go home match, it is a chance for Ode Osbourne to get out of where he's been, getting matched up against contender after contender, just a guy that they're building people off of. And for Steve Erceg, he desperately needs this win to avoid that fate, to avoid being the guy that the UFC just sends in to killer after killer until he has enough losses in a row to guys that don't have a big name yet, that they cut him and send him off to PFL or wherever. But PFL doesn't have a 125 for men's right now. So Steve Erceg would kind of be in no man's land. There's not a huge promotion in Australia that's, lighting the world on fire where he's from. So I don't know what you do with that. But yeah, so I see if you're feeling ballsy, let me get the odds on this here, but if you're feeling ballsy, I don't hate Steve Erceg at submission. Ode Osbourne has been susceptible to submissions over his career. Let me see if they have the odds placed for that yet. They don't have them posted. No odds for that. But if you want to go Erceg submission, I don't hate that because he does have a good ground game that we just haven't got to see a lot of lately. And yeah, so Steve Erceg, we're going favorite the first 2 fights, or the last 2 fights, I should say, because we start from the top and work our way down. And now we've got Yasmin Lucindo taking on Angela. Is it Overkill Hill or is it just Angela Hill? Anyways, Angela Hill, absolute vet, queen of split decisions. She's 40 years old. Goodness. Yasmin Lucindo is 23 years old. So huge age difference here. Huge advantage for Lucindo. When you think about it in the lower weight divisions, over 35 is usually where you crack. But it seems like in women's MMA, that's not necessarily the case. We don't see women aging out and aging chins going the way men's do. Angela Hill has looked great in her last couple fights. Her wrestling has improved. She's just grimy. She has a super high fight IQ. She trains with some of the best. And she's good in the clinch. She's got great Muay Thai. She's good at getting the fight chest to chest and just holding it up. And I think she's going to be able to stifle Lucindo here. Lucindo is a great hammer, terrible nail. And I think when Angela Hill pressures her, I think it's going to be trouble for Lucindo. Sorry, I'm just getting this link shared here. I'm all unprepared, but I think she's going to give Lucindo a lot of trouble, and I like Angela Hill by the decision. I'm going Angela Hill. She's a plus 165 dog, and I think she's 50-50 in just about any fight you put her in. So give me Angela Hill by decision. That's one of my bets, because why the hell not? This woman is the queen of split decisions. 50-50 shot, she's winning just about any of her fights. So we're going with Angela Overkill Hill. And yeah, I mean, country mile. I think she's going to easily win this. I don't think it's even going to be a split decision. But if it is, she's going to win that as well. So we're going to be making money on that one. All right, who do we have next? Andre Touchy-Feely coming in as a plus 200 dog, taking on Christian C. Rodriguez. And Christian Rodriguez is he's got this crazy mythos around him where he's the prospect killer. You put him up against an undefeated prospect, and that O is going to go. You look at Raul Rosas Jr., you look at Austin Bashi. Who was the other guy he took out? Goodness gracious. There's a long list of contenders that are, not contenders, long list of fighters that are undefeated going up against C-Rod, and C-Rod takes him out when he's a big dog. This time he's a favorite. And when he's a favorite against vets, he hasn't fared so well. You look at his Julian Erosa fight, submitted round 1. Melquizael Costa. Is that how you say it? The guy with Impetigo from Mexico. He lost a decision to him. Not necessarily a vet, but he's been around the block. Isaac Dalgerian, Cameron Simon. I mean, Chimani. This guy's just beating prospects, losing to vets. And that's what Andre Fili is. He's a vet that can wrestle. He's going to be a lot bigger. I think Christian Rodriguez is undersized at 145. He looks a lot better at 135, but the weight cut just seems to be a little too much. I think that Fili, his 4-inch height advantage, his slight reach advantage, I think it's going to play a huge factor here. And I like Fili. I think it's going to be a decision. Fili's chin's a little bit cracked. He's 35. That tends to be, if you like betting against old dudes, take C-Rod. But I think Fili's a live dog here, and I'm going with Fili by decision. But 2 takedowns per minute for both, or per fight for both guys. About 3 3/4 landed. 2.5-inch reach advantage for Fili. 4-inch height reach advantage. He's a natural featherweight, whereas C-Rod is kind of a tweener between 35 and 45. I like Andre Fili here. I could be wrong. He could be washed, but give me Andre Fili. And then we got Miles Johns taking on Jean Matsumoto. Jean Matsumoto coming off of his first career loss, and it was a close one with Rob Font. I thought he won it. Could have gone either way, but Matsumoto, regardless, this dude, 25 years old, a super active fighter at 5.2 strikes per minute landed. He gets about 3 takedowns per fight. Not a ton of submission threat, but the guy's just going to outwork you. He's a great striker. Not a ton of knockout power on him, but just a great striker in general. He's a worker. He knows how to fight. A good fight IQ for a 25-year-old, and he doesn't seem to get tired. Miles Johns, on the other hand, 31 years old. The guy's been around the block. He's coming off a loss to Felipe Lima, but Felipe Lima is an absolute dog, so you can't hold that against him. Miles Johns is super tough. He's durable. He makes the fight gritty, and he knows how to win decisions. He's a vet of the game, and I could see a world where this plus 260 dog is very live, to where he could easily go out there and lay on Jean Matsumoto, make it grimy, chest to chest in the clinch, and just win the fight that way. So I could definitely see that happening. But I do think Jean Matsumoto is going to get the job done. Not enough to make him my climb bet, but I think he's getting the job done here. I just think he's going to outwork him. I think Miles Johns, live dog. Dogs have been biting hard lately, but I think that Miles Johns is getting this one done and getting it done. Or I think Jean Matsumoto is getting it done and might be getting it done with some class. And then we got Eric Anders taking on Christian Leroy Duncan. 1 week off from being able to do the Chris Duncan parlay, where Chris Duncan and Christian Leroy Duncan are fighting on the same card. They've done it 3 times, I believe, so far, or 2 times. They almost did it 3, but not to be. Christian Leroy Duncan, he's a minus 550 favorite, and Eric Anders, he's kind of an old wash dude, but he's got a shot here if he goes out there and just tackles CLD right away. If he can tackle him, I mean, he could lay on him and just outwork him, tire him out, and make the striking exchanges not so dynamic. If this fight takes place at striking range, it's gonna be CLD's game. He's just gonna be on the outside moving. He's not gonna be able to get caught by Anders. I don't think Anders has the footwork to be able to track him down and catch him. But if he can wrestle him early, tire him out, get the legs tired, back him up against the cage, he could get a knockout that way, or he could lay on him to a decision. Ultimately, I like Christian Leroy Duncan, but that's Eric Anders' path to victory. CLD is just too dynamic. Both of them former athletes in other pro sports, but 38 years old for Anders. A lot of miles on that truck, and CLD is only 30 years old. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage. only an inch height advantage, but I think that CLD is very live here. Or I think Anders is live, but I think CLD's taking it. That's the main card breakdown for you. So while I'm not certain on any of these bets, that's to or any of these fights. It's a weird card, but we have a lot of room for people to grow. A lot of people that you'll be seeing on main events of pay-per-views in years to come, like the Jean Matsumotos, possibly the Elijah Smiths, the nobody else on the prelims, but Christian Leroy Duncan if they ever feel like propelling him any further. Steve Erceg, maybe. Anthony Hernandez is a guy that could be fighting for a title soon, but we don't know. But if you're looking for a sleeper prelim to watch, where'd we go? Sleeper prelim to watch. Look at Uros Medic versus Gabriel, or is it Gabriel Urbina? Yeah. Uros Medic versus Gilbert Urbina. Gilbert Urbina's got a wanky, flunky, weird style, fluky style, and he goes out there and he gets or gets got. And Uros Medic is kind of the same way. Very tight style, but I think Uros Medic is just it depends the day you get him on, because some days he looks great and some days he just looks like he doesn't want to be there. So he's coming off of a loss by knockout to Puni Soriano. He also lost by submission to Miktabek Oralbai. He got a knockout win over Tim Means in between. Both these guys are get or get got, and I think this fight could be wild. While Medic should be able to get a clean shot on the inside to get the victory, I think it's going to be a fun fight while it lasts. And Urbina does have a 4-inch reach advantage here. Fighters with 4-inch or more reach advantage, they win 60% of the time. A lot of dogs with reach advantages here. We should see one of them catch, right? One of them? I don't know, but let's move on to our best bets. Where we're at plus 20.46 units year to date. So I already said the first one, Angela Hill. We got a unit on her at plus 164. One unit gets us 2.64 units back. Got to go with that. Just Angie Hill. She's a decisionator, and I think she's going to be too much for the 23-year-old Lucinda, who got out-wrestled by Amanda Lemos, and I don't think Amanda Lemos is a better wrestler than Angela Hill. Neither of them are great, but I think Angela Hill's improved a lot. I think she's getting the victory here. Then I have 2 units on Dolidze and Anthony Hernandez to go over 2.5 at minus 130. 2 units gets us 3.53 units back. I think that's going to be a fight where Hernandez is going to be riding him out until he gets tired. Maybe late round 3, early round 4 could get the submission or gets a finish or gets a decision at the end of the fight. But I like the over in that one. And then I have a unit on Andre Feely. Plus 200 gets us 3 units back. That's money line. Here's a 4-leg parlay. I put 4 units on this bad boy. Christian Leroy Duncan, Jean Matsumoto, Steve Erceg, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Plus 132 are the odds on that. And that gives us 9.3 units back on 4 units. I just think CLD is going to get it done. I think Matsumoto is getting it done. I think Erceg, and I think Hernandez is getting it done. And then Gabrielle Fernandez versus Julia Stolyarenko. I got the over 2.5 in that, plus 135 for women's over. 1 unit on that gets us 2.35 units back. And finally, I got 1 unit on Cody Brundage at minus 160. 1 unit on Cody Brundage gets us 1.62 back. So that's our best bets of the evening. And if you got any questions or anything you want to talk about in the chat for these fights, let me know, or anything going on in the MMA world. Chat's been dead a little bit lately. The channel's been a little dead. We're riding. It's okay. We're getting it done. If that's everything, though, and I think it may be, we're going hard. We got a chance to win some money this week. I think we're going to do pretty good. I think that may be all we have for you. I'm going to chug this beer, see if any chats roll in, and if not, thank you for tuning in to The Blood and the Beer. Peace out.